Hello chess fans, today's video I want to show you a game I played actually against the GM. So this was the second round of the Canadian Open and I actually did a lot of prep going to this game. My opponent started with knight f3, I decided to go for d5, g3, c5, and so c5 is probably the most ambitious move. The idea is just to get two pawns in the center. So my opponent went for bishop g2, and here I decided to go for g6. And g6 is a fairly modern idea. Essentially the idea is maybe the knight doesn't always want to commit to f6. For example, if I go knight f6 right away, after castles here, they might have this move d4. And after takes something like bishop g7, knight b3, the only way, actually, after castles knight c3, the only way to defend the pawn, which is being attacked 3 times, is with e6. So this is not what we really want to do. Now our bishop's blocked. So instead, after d6, now if they go for like castles, we're going to go for bishop g7. And now if they go for this move d4, takes, we're going to go e5. And after knight b3, we can simply go for knight e7. And we have no problems. For example, after knight c3, now we can just go d4. And this is perfectly fine because, you know, our knight's not blocking our bishop. And they can't even pin our knight because we have f6. So this was sort of the main idea, just to prevent this d4 setup. So my opponent decided to go for c4. I went for d4. Now here I was a little bit surprised by my opponent's move. The most natural move here is probably b4, and after takes a3, he's simply just going to play a reverse benko. And I saw he had a lot of games in the benko, so I sort of expected this. And I had a lot of prep here, so I was pretty ready for this. But instead of that, he went d3, and now I can go knight c6, which just prevents b4, because now I can just take with the knight. He went e3, bishop g7, takes, castles, knight f6. And after knight f6, I was still in prep, actually. And here, the only move I pretty much knew was either rook e1 or a3. On a3, obviously, we're playing a4, a5 to stop b4. And on rook e1, the idea is go knight e5. So on rook e1, we'd go knight d7 to stop knight e5. So these were the two ideas I knew. And my opponent played this move b4, which is a move he played quite quickly. I think he played in like 2 or 3 minutes, and I was really surprised by this move because I just completely did not see it coming. I thought it was a pretty bad move at the time, but you know, when a GM plays against you, even if you think a move is bad, like you start reconsidering, like, is this move actually bad? So pretty clearly, I have to take. My opponent went queen a4, I went knight c6, knight e5. And here I had a nice sacrifice with this move castles, takes, bishop takes c6, and it looks like I have to go rook b8, in which case he has queen takes a7. But here I have this nice move bishop f5, and after takes, his d3 pawn is hanging. So let's say he goes queen d1 defending, then I go knight d7, threatening knight e5, knight f3. So you should go f4 to prevent that, and then knight c5, and I win this d3 pawn. And apparently I have full compensation. Notice he can't go rook f3 because of bishop g4. So yeah, I had to see that, but I didn't see that. So instead I decided to go for the more natural move bishop d7. And after takes, here I play this really nice move castles. And now he can't take my rook because he's pinned, and if he takes my bishop, then my knight gets to d7 and c5, which is what I want to do anyways. So he went knight d2, I went rook e8, preparing e5. I think here maybe more accurate was rook b8, preventing rook b1 ideas. Rook e8, rook e1, and here I thought for a little bit. And I ended up playing what I think is practically quite a strong line, but in actuality maybe it doesn't work according to the engine. So I went for takes, queen a5. And I did this seeing this tactic. So here he does have rook e7, and if I take, he's going to take this. So I probably shouldn't take. Well, I actually can take and then go rook e8, but okay, my plan was to go queen c3. In which case, here after rook b1, I'm trying to remember the exact line. Queen d3, rook b7, takes, this move, rook f8. Now here I thought that if he takes on a7, I have this move queen c3. And now I maybe am winning. Though apparently the lines get really crazy here. And I think after bishop a3 takes, bishop takes f8, I had to go knight g4, threatening a mate. He goes queen f3, and then I go knight e5, threatening his queen. And then, I don't know, he does something. He goes like queen e4, and then I go knight d3 again, threatening a mate. And then he has to go rook f7 or something like this. Because now if I take, he has checkmate 2, and if I take his bishop, I mean, this is defended. So maybe he can go rook f3 and then go queen e6. So yeah, lots of really complicated lines here. So that's basically what the engine said he probably should do, and the position is about equal. But he went for a4, which is a pretty big inaccuracy, which gives me a nice position. His idea is to go queen b5, so I just simply prevent that with rook b8. Now he goes queen f3, because now he has to try to defend this d3 pawn against knight d7, knight c5. I go knight d7, queen d1. I expected this. Knight c5, and now notice he can't play this move knight e4 because I take here. And if he takes, I take his rook. And if he goes bishop d2, he's no longer attacking the knight, so I can just move my queen back. So here he went knight f3. I decided to go queen a3, queen c3, and yeah, here I spent a really long time, and I ended up playing actually the best move, queen c3, rook a3, and here for a really long time, I considered this move queen b4. And I spent actually 25 minutes on this move. I spent a lot of time on this just one move, queen c3, and this was my original idea. I ended up rejecting it because of queen e4 here. Rook b2 attacking the queen. Now if I take the rook, he has a double attack, so I can't take the rook. So I had to go queen a5, and then I thought he had rook b5. Now if I take, he takes here, and then his rook's open, so I have to go queen c7. And I thought I've simply moved his rook from e1 to b5, and his rook from a1 to a3. And in exchange for that, I just got this one move a5, e5. And I ended up being like, oh, he got too many tempos. But actually, this is not the proper way to think, because now actually his rook is completely blocking his bishop from getting in the game, and this rook really wants to be on e1 where it can influence the center. Now e5 is going to be a problem for him. Okay, so I really should have played that, and the idea is if rook a1, I can go queen b3, a double attack, and after here, I think I should be probably winning in this endgame. Something like this might happen, and then after like f5, I have a nice position with the king coming to game. Pawns are a little bit weak. Okay, but instead of that, I went rook b3, which is just a really bad move. After takes, bishop a3, e5, rook e2. Here, my original idea was to go e4. Oh, I think I ran, my connection ran out. But basically, my idea was to go e4, and after rook takes e4, rook takes e4, pawn takes e4, because if he takes with the pawn right away, then I take his knight. But after takes, wait, sorry, is this the line? Takes. No, this is most certainly not the line. Yeah, sorry, not e4 here. Sorry, e4, knight g5, f5. And here, I thought that I was just failing after this move d takes e4, but here I have bishop f6, nice in between move. If I took back, you can just take here and he's up a pawn. So bishop f6, h4, takes, something like bishop b2, queen b4, something like this. And then here I would have this nice move, rook d8. Sorry, that line might not be all correct. Yeah, sorry, bishop b2 first, and then takes here. Yeah, and then that line is correct. Here, takes here, rook d8, and then after rook b2, something like takes, jack here, takes, king f5, something like takes. Sorry, takes this one, and the position should probably be a draw. So that was like maybe like 20 moves of calculation that I had to see. And I ended up just seeing that my pawns were weak because I missed this move, bishop f6. Okay, but yeah, I was really considering that for a long time. I ended up playing this move, knight d2. No matter what he does, one of his pieces is going to hang. So he decided to take here. I take. And now here I spent a really long time considering e4 now. And the idea now is after it takes, here I would have this move, queen c3. Sorry, my connection is very bad. And after queen e2, here I have this move, d3. And I thought that, okay, maybe I'm winning this pawn. But then I saw this crazy tactic after queen a7, takes here, he has queen takes f7. And if I take, he has this fork. So I ended up not going for that. Now I actually didn't even have to take. I could go for a move like bishop f8, threatening bishop c5, and he probably has to go back. And then after bishop c5, he has no way to hang on to all the pawns. For example, if he goes here, I can take here. And if he goes here, keeping an eye on the d3 pawn, I can just take here and I'm defending this. So no matter what, I was winning back my pawn here. And it probably would have been slightly better for me. But alas, I missed it now. And I also wanted to play this rook e7. But for some reason, I started realizing that I had tactics. And yeah, tactics usually don't work if you're losing. So here he went knight d4 with this pin, obviously. And I thought I had rook d8. And after knight b5, I thought I had rook d3. What I missed is, from afar, is queen b1 is very powerful. Now if I go takes, and he can go rook c2, and I can't stop the pawn. For example, a6, c5 takes, c7 takes, c8, and yeah, there's no way of stopping the pawn from making a queen. So I can't do that. So now I had to go for this move, queen c5, which is just, a move that I really don't want to play. He went knight c3, and here my next move is a mistake, but in time trouble, I feel like this is a very, very, very excellent move I played here because it complicates the position, and actually my GM opponent ended up blundering. So yeah, if I went rook e7 here, I probably would still be equal or slightly better maybe. But okay, after e4, which was my idea, now if he takes with the rook, I have f5. He didn't do this, obviously. He took with the knight, which is completely winning, and here I took on c4, which is a blunder because of knight f6. And then here he had to see, for example, if I take, he has rook e8. Now if I take, there's takes here, and he's up a queen. So I can't do that. So if he goes knight f7, here can go here. I take here. And here I think what my opponent saw is like rook d2. Wait, what did my opponent see? Like knight g5, king f6, rook d2, rook c1. And then now it looks like he's just losing. And maybe here it's not really that clear. For example, like maybe he has to go for a move like rook d4 or like get the queen not hanging, and then go bishop, not bishop g2, king g2. But instead of that, he decided after this, I think that the simplest win was just actually queen c2. Then after takes, because, I mean, or check here, and now queen c2. Yeah, because now I'm threatening rook e6 if he moves the queen anywhere. Like if I move the queen here, rook e6. Oh no, I'm not threatening rook e6. Maybe I can just defend the pawn, the knight. Okay, but after takes, here I have knight h7, king f7, now takes. And now if you try to trap the rook, then I can just go h4 and get it out, and he's up 2 pawns, he should be winning. But instead of that, he didn't see that. Instead, he actually took here, which is actually a huge blunder, which gets it back to equal if I play this move rook d4. But okay, I have no time here. I went rook c8, putting the behind the passer. He went knight d6, which is what I was expecting. After bishop f8, rook e8, king g7. Here my bishop's attacking the knight, and the knight moves, he loses c4. He went rook d8. And now here I really should just take, rook d7 here. And after takes, this is just a theoretical draw. I'm pretty sure that if I get this position again, even with like 2-3 minutes, I should probably draw it. The idea is just the rook goes behind the pass pawn. The only thing I was worried about is if the pawn's on a6, the king can come to a7 if all these pawns are traded, and the position would actually be winning in that case. But okay, the pawn, like all the pawns are not traded, so it's just a really easy draw, and I really should have known this. Instead, I went for bishop e7 here, and now I went for bishop c5 because I thought this was also easy defense. He went knight d6. Yeah, apparently here he's supposed to go h4, but you know, who's going to play h4? So knight d6. Here I should have gone rook d4, and after knight b5, I mean, this is actually the way maybe the game should end. But, you know, if he wants to go for the win, maybe he has to go for this move a5, and after a6, knight here. Something like this might happen, in which case this pawn looks to be falling. I'm curious, how do I defend here? f5, knight f6, rook a1, rook a6, and maybe, yeah, again, still, I have to go for this endgame. And this is, again, it's still a draw. So really, I had to go for the endgame. I ended up going rook c2, which just blunders knight e4. And now I'm pinned and forked, and I lose. So yeah, I recorded this one a little bit quick without as much thought because my computer has already crashed twice. But yeah, this was a really instructive game. I think that it shows that I did not have the killer instinct. I got a very, very nice position, and I was not able to capitalize on it because my opponent played very resiliently. And so make sure to really take your time in the critical positions. And also, when you get into a drawn position, you actually still need to be very, very careful. And I really like the fact that I found e4, even though it's a mistake, because of the fact that it created a lot of play on the board. That even though I was pretty much lost, like, for example, after e4, like, if we go back, let's go back to the position after f6. This position, if I play like f5, which is the best move, here he has knight d5. And then now, okay, I have absolutely no counterplay. So, yeah, very practical play, I think. And I think in the end, my opponent probably didn't, basically just outlasted me. Like, when you get into time trouble, your GM opponent is probably not going to blunder, but I ended up blundering. And that seemed to be the story of the tournament, was me getting low on time and then just completely throwing games. But yeah, that's in today's video, guys. If you like the videos, please leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.